Meeting to order here at 7 minutes after the 3 o'clock. And we'll start with privilege of the floor. I know we have a number of people that are here on specific items, but let's open it first to general. Privilege of the floor. Anybody have anything they want to talk about or add or? No. Okay.
Well, I think, I don't know if this is when we can talk.
It's on the agenda.
You're on the agenda.
I am?
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
And I think what we'll do, since we have a number of people that are here, and we always try to do, that have specific issues, I think we'll try to move those up in the agenda. So why don't we talk about this is the rail box system extension of use,
Could I do Josh first while we have everybody here?
Sure.
Would that be all right?
Yep, absolutely.
So I really like embarrassing
rail box won't
folks.
get on that one.
Stand up for a second, Josh.
I'm embarrassed.
Everyone, this is this is Josh Rhodes. He works for our Department of Public Works. Josh, today I've recommended Josh for a merit pay award over the winter, and during our spring cleanup. All of our employees worked really hard, but Josh has really gone above and beyond what we normally expect of our town employees. And he's just done a great job. He's working alone a lot because Jim has been involved in our water and sewer projects, and Josh has really stepped up and done a great job. So we've got a letter here for him, and we have a monetary merit pay award system in the town, and we're going to be making an award to him today. So congratulations.
All right. Congratulations,
Thanks.
Josh.
So every once in a while I ask him here for good stuff.
So we'll, why don't we talk about the BBTS rail box extension system?
Is Mark gonna give me a check?
Maybe, I don't know.
You may be giving us a check.
Yeah, no, we don't want to suggest that. Yeah, but go ahead. Do you want to introduce us?
So I know that Krista came to the planning board meeting last
Right.
week, and sorry, excuse my absence of that meeting. And the planning board, we're looking to do a full site plan review, so we're working on that application and getting the necessary collateral materials together for that review. But I believe at the meeting, the extension that we got on the project came from the selectmen, so they said, well, you need to go back to the selectmen if you want to be able to use it before, the possibility of maybe using it before we go through this full site plan review. So that's why we're here, to see your thoughts on maybe giving us a temporary use for the next few months as we go through this process with the planning board. I've instructed my staff that no one's to use that venue right now, and I think you guys just visited. It's in a state of a little different repair, but that's the status of it. So that's what we're asking, I guess, is an extension.
All right, Pete, I'm going to start by asking you the tough question here again. The problem that we seem to have every now with the BBTS is that on a lot of these projects, they get 98% done, all right? And we were out there looking, and it's not only the rail box, but the trampoline center was supposed to have been taken down, was my understanding, when your rec center opened. The parking lot, the parking strip coming in, I think the latest agreement was that it would be okay for the tennis people to park there as long as the fire lane was kept open, but it was to be paved and a stripe was to be put down on it. And we just see them in a lot of these things, they just never ever quite get done. Now, I could be wrong about what I just stated, but that's my understanding of what was supposed to have happened.
Well, let me just address specifically those. No, those are good points. The tramp deck, and that's what I think we're talking about, is the outside. I've never said that we want to take that. In fact, it was supposed to be listed as where it is, and I've always talked about that being a feature that we're going to have on the property.
So it was your understanding it wasn't to be taken down?
No, it's going to be redecked and redone, so it's going to be part of this proposal when we go in front of the planning board, because honestly, we need more tramps. The 2 tramps inside the train set is great, but we also need those operating. I only have one other tramp, so we haven't, and we need to make that look nice and safe, and there's issues with what we need to do to get it properly ready to be used again. And I plan on putting that in the proposal with the planning board. So I think that's going to be covered. And Bill, last time we met, we did discuss that venue. I'll call it a venue.
Yeah.
And you asked, specifically, I remember you asked, well, that should be part of the plan. Where is it going to be? If it's going to be there, you need to show it on the plan.
Right.
So I support what you're saying, and the plans are to keep it there, and to redeck it and to make it look nice and safe and make sure there's proper protection when it's not in use by our athletes. So that's the status of that. The tennis center parking that's on our property.
Yeah.
We never said it was going to be paved. We did say it was going to be hard packed. And just to note,
Okay.
we never said the Snows Mountain lot was going to be paved. We decided once
Right.
we paved the walkways that, we're going to put a little more pavement in. It looks a lot nicer. We want to clean up the property. We don't exactly know where the next building will go. But we knew that we could pave a certain section. It was within the budget, and I think it's come out really well, and it's addressing some of the drainage concerns that we have at the property. And then the final thing we did was to do that hard pack over by the tennis center. We are going to sign that, and met with the construction company, and we plan on putting individual signs so people know where to park.
Okay.
And it really can't be striped the way it is now. If the planning board or the selectmen would like us to pave that in our next project, I would welcome that. I almost feel like it should have just been paved, and because it looks so much better. But we never said we were going to pave, so I just want to be
Okay.
be sure that
No,
that wasn't my impression. So.
I was under the impression that in the previous plan you had agreed to pave it, and it's just a question of doing what you agreed to do. And if you didn't agree to pave it, then it's not an issue.
No, we did hard pack, and I know we looked into that. In fact, we checked with the contractor who submitted all the stuff for the site plan. That's what it was. And you correct me if I'm wrong.
But I thought it was going to be paved, and there was a number of parking spots that were going to be along the side of that.
We've identified
or
4
something
parking
like that.
spots, and we're
And
going to
then
sign
the two,
those.
what about there were
handicap.
handicap
And there's going to be 2
accessible
Yep.
spots that were head in
Yep.
at the end of the driveway offset for the tennis courts to use.
Correct.
So, and I thought that all of those were to be identified parking spots,
We are going to identify them with signs because of the it's
because I
on.
thought it was striped and paved and striped as part of that.
Do we know what the planning board approved?
Yeah, that's my question. I'm
Well-
getting different stories. Peter, I don't know. I wasn't there,
That's
so I
mine.
don't know. But I'm getting from one side that this trampoline thing was supposed to be taken down once the Barbeau Center was built, and I'm also getting that this was supposed to be paved, lined, and signed as part of completing the project. So I don't know what to think because I don't know who's right, whose recollection is.
The only thing we agreed to
Yes.
pave was the sidewalk, which is paved.
Right.
And then
And the
again,
sidewalk is very nice, by the way.
And then we went further and we did the walkways on our property, and then we decided to do some of the paving on the Snows Mountain parking lot.
Okay.
We didn't extend that over to that other little parking area, and because we didn't have to pave any of it really, according to what we agreed to. If
I'll
the
look
building
on
committee wants to
Twitter.
show, not the building committee, the planning board wants to show me that it is, and if it wasn't there and we didn't do it, we will go back and do it. So I'm not.
I'll look
saying
at the
that, so.
landscape plan, but I had thought, there was nothing on the parking lot side, but I thought that that access way was gonna be paved in those.
The plan itself actually shows lines on the actual plan, so there could be some confusion of
Yeah.
what that material was for that parking lot was. But as far as I know, and
Okay,
I wasn't at the
we'll look at
last meeting either, but that
Yeah.
was agreed to with the sidewalk width and all that. So the contractor took what we gave them, and that's what they
We'll
did.
look at the minutes.
So just
'cause
let
it
me
will
know,
say-
and we do, Bill. To
So
your
what
point,
I'm hearing
wanna
you saying,
finish up some
Pete,
of
is
these
if we go
projects, so-
back and look at the minutes of the plans and it suggests those things were to be done, that you'll agree to take care of them.
Well, absolutely. If we agreed to have it paved,
Okay.
I will go back and have
All
it
right.
paved. But on this point, I don't think so. I think what I'm saying too, there's the next building or the next project. If you want to roll that in, that's fine. I mean, it gives us a little breathing room on cash.
I'm not going to comment on whether hard pack is preferable to paving in that situation or not. I mean, that's really a planning board issue, and as long as we agree, if it was done to what was agreed to, we're fine.
Okay.
I mean, selectmen have no issue with it.
So someone, Mark, get back to me and.
All right. So let's talk about the rail box, and let me give you the idea again on the rail box. Obviously, I think when we approved this temporarily once before, we said we would not approve it again. And it was, my understanding is that was the second extension? Or, anyway, I don't know, whether it was first or second, we said we wanted to extend it again.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you put us, I feel that you put the planning board in somewhat of a bit of a dilemma. Because if we don't extend it, then you want as quick as approval as you can possibly get for what you're going to present as plans for the rail box. So we don't give them any time to actually consider it, because you're anxious to move forward, people respond to that. I mean, that's just human nature. I mean, we all live in the same community. So,
I mean, just to be clear, what happened is that we gave temporary use, and then you got to the end of that period and you said, wait, we want to continue using it. And we said, we'll give you this extension. It's the last extension. It's up on May 31st, 2014, and your job is to go to the planning board and get your thing approved.
So I just want to speak why, I mean, we, as you know, we're pretty busy. And that project of the training center took a lot longer than everybody anticipated to get done. One of my concerns was going to the planning board with this new project or this new scope of work when this other project was not completed at any level in May of satisfaction, my satisfaction, or I bet the town's satisfaction. So that was one of my concerns. Probably a mistake on our part, not going back then in May. But that was basically what it was. I mean, we're just really busy. That project was going on. It's, this is a new concurrent thing going on with the rail box. We weren't using it until really the summer season, which we're getting into. On the scope of things, it wasn't really right in front of our minds of what's going on down there. So, a little bit, just that. We're just really busy. It wasn't intentionally trying not to go back to the planning board. And you did say that, and I understand that, and, I respect your decision, whatever it is today. We're just asking if, you see value in what we're doing down there, and you feel like we, are good stewards of the property, and we'll move through the processes that the town requires for us to get that thing cited appropriately. I'm happy to work with you and whatever decision you make. So.
well,
Yeah, and the other thing, we were actually Park City getting our gold certification for the organization, which we're one of 8 clubs in the country to get that.
well, congratulations.
So we were really, May, believe it or not, is very, very busy for us.
Right.
Because it's all our planning, everything's a lot going on. So
Well,
During that planning
on
board meeting.
behalf of the town, we are, I will say over the last couple of years, I think we are genuinely glad that you made a decision to stay here and commit to being in the valley, and you are an integral part of this valley. And we certainly very much do appreciate that. Now we got to deal with your rail box extension. I don't know, thoughts? I am inclined to give you another 90 days just to get it out on the table, but I want to hear from the other selectmen and see what they want to do with this. And the only reason is I don't want to put the planning board in a bind where they feel they're going to have to get rushed to do something.
When are you going into the planning board?
the July meeting.
Is that enough time to consider, Ray?
Well, we have 90 days for the final decision, so we have 3 months to decide to
Pete,
approve it.
When do your camps run from and to? Your summer camps?
They're running now, to
Yeah.
be honest with you.
But
But you know what's happening?
What
We're
happens
going
in
down
90
to
days
this
is my
facility,
question.
The Preston facility down in Campton
Right.
to do rail boxing. So just, he has a small box set up, and that's what's happening. They're going out of the valley and gonna go use that because they can't use this. I'm just saying that's what, we have an alternate solution, temporary, but that's what's happening. So we run programming all the time.
Yeah, no, I get that.
From the standpoint of the town, it's not the use of it, it's the use of the land.
Right.
Technically, we could make you remove the darn thing.
Right.
Right. It's.
I don't see removing it does anybody any good. I just think
But
that.
giving them a 90-day extension may not work either, because the planning
Right.
board has 90 days from the middle of July.
Yeah, no, I understand
What do you
that.
want, Ray, to the end of September?
No, I'd like to have a full 90 days.
So 90
And
days
that doesn't
from when
stop-
would the clock start ticking here?
Yeah, and that doesn't start until July, so if you give them 120 days, that would get them through the approval process.
It's the 12th.
I'm
That
not
would be
saying
the
it's gonna
12th
take
of
3 months,
September.
but that's what we have,
So you're saying 120 days from now?
yes.
I'll make a motion to grant a temporary permit for 120 days, starting today. And I'm gonna put it, yeah.
Want to discuss a caveat before you?
No
make a motion?
caveats. We put the caveat on last time, I would say.
Which did us a lot of good. No,
We
I
just
just,
look foolish.
again,
Well, caveat could be that it comes down at the end of the 120 days.
Yeah, I guess at the end of 120 days, we're gonna ask you to remove it. Or we're going to insist that you remove it.
I think that's very fair.
Do I have a second? No.
It must be your turn.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
You are good citizens of the town, and you are very important to the town, and but again, that doesn't mean we're just trying to do the right thing. Okay. All right,
Thank you very
Railbox.
much.
Now, I think we have a whole contingent here that want to talk about
Signs.
signs, real estate signs. Let me introduce this a little bit. As I understand the town ordinance, which the selectmen don't. It's not a town ordinance. I believe it's in the zoning ordinance, right? Which is really more the purview of the planning board than it is the purview of the selectmen, and it's really the purview of the citizens. So this is something the citizens have agreed to do, which they essentially said is, as a town, we don't allow for sale signs. I don't think there are any exceptions to that, right? No for sale signs. We do allow business signs, right? Where you can have a sign that points, my office is over in this direction. I think we allow, I can't remember, Ray probably knows better than I do, 1 or 2 of them or something. And we do have this quasi thing where once a developer is building essentially what would be Green Peak, where they've gone to the site planning review process, they have a development approved, that while that development is under construction, we allow the contractor to erect a sign, which says that I'm building this thing, essentially is what the sign would say. That's my understanding of the ordinance, and let's open it up. I know there are a lot of people who don't like that ordinance, or don't like those regulations, or don't think they make sense. But my interpretation is that's what they say.
And that new development sign bill is
Right.
from approval of the project
Right.
until the issuance of the first certificate of occupancy by the
Right.
code enforcement office.
Yeah. And this is painful because we turned Margaret down. Margaret wanted to put a for sale sign on Lenny's property, and we said, you can't have a for sale sign on Lenny's property. So, questions or comments? So we got a couple of issues. First of all, I understand that there are a number of you who don't think that is an appropriate ordinance or set of regulations. My suggestion is you take that up at the planning board, or go get 20 people to sign a petition and take it up at town meeting. That's first. The second would be, I don't know, what do you want us to do? Yeah,
I'll just make a quick comment. I think it's a good regulation. If we allowed for sale signs, you know, there's so many properties for sale and so
Right.
many condominiums.
It looked like the
and
town is for sale.
Everybody would want theirs to say, you know, A5, A2 for sale, you know, B9, whatever.
right.
It could be potentially, you know, look awful. And there's nothing worse than going into a town and driving around and seeing for sale signs and that people will say, what is wrong with this town?
Right, okay.
My comment on that.
And the only signs that we allowed in the real estate business were the temporary open house signs. And we went through a very lengthy process when I was on the planning board several years ago
Right.
to construct that particular ordinance. And I think it's being observed, and that in itself is not a problem. But
Right.
those are very temporary signs, only up while the open house is in process.
See, I have another perspective, but I don't have an answer. Where I think that if we are going to encourage development and long-term development, that we have to create a status, some kind of status where a developer, and I don't know how we're going to determine what is a bona fide developer and what's a non-bona fide developer, can have a sign up to let the layman who's driving through here understand that a development is planned for this space. And, you know, there's an opportunity on this parcel of land. I don't know how we're going to differentiate that from an individual property owner who wants to sell their property, a piece of land, to someone who wants to build a house. But my thought is here that we want to encourage responsible development. And I don't know how to do it, and I don't know how to differentiate it. And I hope that starts the dialogue.
Well, I can speak from my perspective. I would like to see the valley grow. I have a lot that I'm going to be putting a spec house on. We've done one before, and we did it with a great deal of success. You know, being that the mountain, the way it is now, and things aren't rolling the way we had hoped, is just delaying any process of people coming in. So any little thing that we can do to generate inquiries and calls is something that, you know, we'd like to be able to do. I mean, I have a sign up on the property now. It has brought people calling, and there has been interest. Has it developed into a house? No. But I do want to point out that when we do have a house and it is being built, many of the people that are the construction workers in the site are, you know, using downtown for purchasing of food and going to Jugtown, so it's helping the community. We're hoping we get another group of people that come in and buy it with families and just continue that. But with the present scenario, we're challenged. So I guess from my perspective, I'm just asking for your help, your suggestions, your advice. What could we do? And if we're doing something wrong, I apologize. That's not our intent. So that's basically what I have to say.
I too have a similar concern with ongoing at Green Peak, where we have 9 more units to sell. And until I actually read the regulation and looked at the details in there, it was pointed out that on first CO that the sign must come down. It was a little confusing for myself, because I thought it was, a community sign for a development that was going to be there for several years. And it is. We too, when we were constructing the first building at Green Peak, there was a lot of activity down in Town Square with lunches and workers purchasing things, which is a benefit to the town. And it's a benefit to have people come by, see the sign, communicate with us. And it's in my opinion, it's a hardship. Not that this has any bearing on the decision as we move forward here, but
I've never worked in a town. I've worked in probably 14 communities in my career, and I've never been in a community that did not allow a development sign.
Yeah, Bob, and we do allow them. You just have to finish the process of going through the planning board, and once it's approved, you can put your sign back up.
But we do. But we have other units. We came to this board a year ago and
Right.
got approval to continue selling phase 2 and phase 3.
Well, be careful now, because that's not the words we let you. We said you had a
Take
right to market them.
reservations.
Okay, right
And
to
take
market.
reservations,
Okay.
right. We didn't say you could,
Okay, right to market.
Right.
You're absolutely.
Right.
We can take a reservation.
yeah,
Absolutely. That's
Right.
true.
right.
And
And
you're in the
that's-
process of having that second development go through the planning board, right?
Are we in the process right now?
No,
we're
it's
not. We're not in the planning board. We've started the process,
Right.
but we haven't completed it.
Yeah, well, this is what Bill was explaining earlier. All we can do as selectmen, on behalf of the citizens, is attempt to enforce the existing regulations. If you're looking for a change in those regulations, you have to go through the planning board.
So-
But there is certainly a way for you as a developer to be able to put up a development sign under the current regulations. And that is, you go through the planning board process, you get your approval, you put your sign up, and you can leave your sign up until the first certificate of occupancy is issued. So it's not that they're forbidden, it's just
No,
that
it's-
there's a limited time frame in which you can display them.
I think,
And I think you're absolutely correct, but I think there needs to be some changes.
Right, the
because when you-
regulation.
When you have an ongoing community,
Sure.
it makes sense that you can continue. I mean, if you have a 3-unit
Mhm.
building, that after the first CO is issued, that the sign comes down. But I agree, it has to be a vetted process.
yeah, I think the regulation has to be amended and changed, and I was surprised to see that it was the first CO, not the last CO.
Right.
Which,
Go ahead.
Can you go to the ZBA and get a variance from the zoning ordinance also?
I
Would that be in that
would,
process?
I was gonna suggest you were asking what could be done. So it seems to me there are two things that could be done. Let's take the easy one first. We could ask the planning board to go back and review the regulations, particularly regarding this issue where you have 3 units you're gonna sell, and 2 of them have sold, 1 hasn't sold. So technically, you still have 1, should that be the trigger when all of them are sold as opposed to when the first is, at the point you could take down this project is under development sign, all right? So, and the planning board could debate that, but it would have to get it onto town meeting. I mean, to get that changed, it's gonna have to be on next year's town meeting. Broader scope, I mean, if the planning board wants to get into that discussion, they probably ought to get into a discussion about the whole no sign relating to real estate in general. Are there exceptions to that or the rest? I mean, at least they could debate it. Now, the other thing is you could formally ask us, well, I want you to grant us an exemption from the current regulation. And we'll vote on that. And if we turn you down, absolutely you have a right to go to the ZBA. But I would guess the first thing they have to do is ask us, do you want us to vote on an exception? Yeah.
I'd like to ask you to vote on it.
Okay. Gotcha. All right.
I just have one.
Yeah, or otherwise you can't go to ZBA
Krista said her hand
unless
up
we
for a
turn it
while.
down. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry. I was just, I understand, I think, what you've been saying. So is there a potential to look at this problem in a more technological way? For example, to create an online database that might be a portal on the town's website. I saw that beautiful wetlands
Yes.
map. Could you do something where you, had a digital image that showed the sites that are available, maybe a picture of the proposed housing that would you know, be an option instead of, if you're saying at this point, no signs, could that be an option that you could work on?
Absolutely. The only restriction is no signs.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't say anything about you can't market in every other way. You know, are you allowed to advertise in the wigwag? Of course you are. Can you? I mean, there's no restrictions on that, to my knowledge, on any property. And as to whether we would want to do that on a town website, you know, we're not selling any of these. You know, could we make it available for other people to post on there if they wanted? Maybe. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. But maybe.
I think we'll have links to our community on the new website.
Or maybe we'll you know, if you're interested in real estate here, we'll give you 4 real estate links to go to, you know, and then you put your own on there or something. But yeah, we could certainly do something like that.
And you know, just to, I guess, fill in, one of the reasons why this all came up was because the lot next to the one that Barry has, we have listed, and the seller came to us and wanted to get some sort of signage to distinguish their lot between the one next door that had a development sign. So, you know, I did the side proposal and, you know, totally understand the...
Was turned down, right?
Right. So, you know, I just need to know how to, because then, you know, when I communicated to the seller what the, you know, what the stance was, that it was denied, and so on and so forth, they, you know, they kind of figured that, but they felt that they need to have the right to advertise or at least distinguish their property as for sale equally to the one that is next to it. So, you know, I guess if they go that route, then they have to maybe align themselves with a builder and...
See, that's what we're talking about.
I don't think when you read our regulations, it makes any difference.
You have to have the permits.
Particularly on single-family home sites, it's really quite clear that you can't have a sign advertising it for sale.
Right.
When you go through the site plan development process and you get approved a development, you are allowed to have a sign right now until the first unit gets approved. That's the only exception that I know of. And, you know, should we make it broader than that? I would suggest that this discussion needs to be with the planning board, who is the keeper of these regulations, right? And they'll take a look at whether they would propose to change them. Any other comments on this in general? I mean, otherwise I'm going to go to your specific request to grant an exception. You want an exemption for Green Peak?
Yes.
Okay.
And is that based on the fact that there's one unit left for sale?
That's correct.
Okay, because that's different from, say, Barry, your sign. Would be different because there's no house and
Yeah, I
there's no...
wouldn't be asking for an exception to the Snows Mountain sign.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Last, after you vote.
Well, I don't know. Does anybody want to make a motion to?
I can't vote.
Oh, you can't
Yeah, I
vote.
can't
So
vote.
Margaret, it's you and I. All right. I'm inclined. My personal opinion is no. That I'm inclined to vote it down because we are. It is not our. Generally, it's our responsibility to enforce the regulations, not to take a look whether we think. It's not, to me, a marginal area. The regulation is fairly clear here. Whether it's a right regulation or a wrong regulation or appropriate, I think it's more the ZBA than us. And that's why we have a ZBA. And they may look on it differently, but I would make a motion to deny the request.
I'll second that.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? All this gives you is the right to go to the ZBA.
What do you want to do with Barry's sign?
I think we've already told them they need to take their signs down. They're not in compliance with the regulation.
And do you want the signs down prior to the ZBA's decision?
The ZBA, if they would like to request an exemption and also go to the ZBA, they have every right to request an exemption as well.
Okay, so the signs will come down pending the ZBA's.
Right.
All right.
Do they have the right to request and the ability to keep the sign up pending the ZBA's results?
I don't know, I'm not a lawyer. I doubt
I
it.
don't know.
Well,
You mean get an injunction?
Well, a stay, how's
They
that?
get a stay of execution?
well, that's why I was asking those
Yeah, no,
questions,
that was-
because,
Yeah,
because because this says that the new development sign must come down after the first certificate of occupancy or the completion of the subdivider improvement agreement, which means that Barry's sign would relate back to the Moose Run subdivision, and there should not have been any signs other than the construction signs up in Moose Run, period, because we've completed the subdivider improvement agreement. Those were individual
Right.
lots. So, you know, what, I mean, that's the way that I read what's written here. So if that's not what you think, then.
no, I view it right now as he purchased a
Lot,
lot.
okay.
So he's as a homeowner on that
That's
lot
right.
now requesting
And that's the way
an
we.
exemption.
All right.
Yes,
I'd just like to make one point, that within the Moose Run subdivision, we have the opportunity for other developers to buy lots or larger lots of land that are zoned multifamily as well as single-family home sites.
Yep.
So, but I
But
think
that lot is
that
not
person-
subdividable, and it is not available for a condo, it's not sized for a condo development.
Well, let me just back.
go ahead,
Is that-
just finish.
My point was more of a technical one.
Yeah,
I think applying a subdivider improvement agreement for Moose Run to any subdeveloper in Moose Run is an inappropriate application of that.
But I'm not doing it, Bill, it's written right here.
It says
And
or,
it's-
I believe it says or.
Right, for the certificate of occupancy as a single family lot, a single lot, or the subdivider improvement agreement for a subdivision, okay?
Right.
Yes, if there's a larger lot where you had presented at the time Moose Run was presented to the planning board and approved, there were lots that were identified for, condo development or, you know, multifamily development.
Right.
This particular lot, though, was a single-family lot. And
I
within
wasn't
the-
arguing that. I was
Right.
arguing the application of the subdivision of improvement agreement to this situation or any situation in Moose Run, which I think is technically inappropriate.
Okay.
It's just-
Except then we have to allow it for every lot in
We can
Moose Run, I
discuss it at
think
another
is
point.
what.
It's a technical issue. I'm
Well-
not arguing either one of these things.
But it goes back to Chip's point, though, how do we, if we treat Barry's lot like that,
Well,
then do we have to apply that to every lot?
if I can speak to that.
Yeah.
You need to look at your own definitions of developer and development which is in the
Right.
subdivision
Yeah.
regulations, not
Yeah.
the development.
Right.
My opinion would be that Barry qualifies. He owns a piece of land
Mhm.
for development. He's hired an architect. He's got architectural plans.
Mhm.
He's got site improvement plans. He's got landscape plans.
Okay.
He's got everything he needs
Mhm.
to develop that site to sell to another person. And I mean, you can interpret your own regulations. I don't see anything here that distinguishes between a single-family home site development
Mhm.
and a multifamily unit development.
Okay.
And I'd also like to go on record that I think, I agree with Terry, not having general for sale signs in Waterville Valley is a very, very good thing. I've always supported that.
Sure.
And I think it
Mhm.
has benefited the community in the long run.
Okay. Yep.
Can I just ask a question? Barry's lot doesn't have to go through the planning board, right?
No.
That's correct.
correct.
It's a building permit.
Okay, so so that actually the regulations don't have anything to do with Barry's lot, even if we consider him to be a developer, the fact that he didn't go through the first part of the regulation that allows a new development sign, which is,
That's correct.
The
There's,
plan.
there's no.
yeah, there's no site
Would you,
plan
Mark,
review.
read the regular, what triggers the
Yeah.
point at which somebody can put something up?
When they have
Under that
planning board
regulation?
approval.
I thought it read that either he had planning board or site plan approval.
A new development sign may be erected from approval of the project and be maintained until the issuance of the first certificate of occupancy
So
by
it's
the code
approval of the
enforcement
project.
officer.
So that'd be pulling the permit?
At the
Or-
point in time, I guess, Barry, I think to raise Barry's question here would seem to me at the point in time that he got a building permit,
Yeah, we haven't paid.
he might in fact have a right to put a sign up.
Well, we've always-
If he were to be considered deemed to be a developer.
Well, you've
He may.
you've always been able to do that because you can put the sign up, the 3x5 sign, when you have the building permit. And then your contractor can put their sign up, which we do for deliveries of material, right? And then real estate agents are allowed to put information on the sale of that property. That's been a long-standing way that you've done it, while that building is being built. And then when the CO was issued, that sign comes down. But we've always done the 3x5. Anyone who wants to put information on there, developer, contractor, subcontractors, real estate agent, whoever, as long as it fits into that one sign and you get a sign permit for that, you can put it up.
Which is what we did do. We-
Right, with your other
Right.
houses,
With this
right.
one, we did too.
Well,
We
yes,
filled
but
out an
then,
application and paid a fee
yeah,
for the sign, the one we have now.
yes, but that was pending getting the the building permit, which it didn't continue to get the
So if
building
we get a
permit.
building permit now, we can keep the sign up.
Well, that's up to you guys, but that's
I
what
think
we
if you
have.
got a building permit. Yeah, I don't know if you want to do that, but it would seem to me that if you got a building permit and Bill Cantlin's interpretation is correct, that we would consider you to be a quote developer. I
Well,
guess you can put I guess you could put a
I
sign
think
up.
even for
I don't know.
the people that you represent, if they had a building permit for a building and Chris had reviewed the building plans and had authorized the building permit, they could put up a sign too.
Right.
I mean, there's a time limit on the building
It's a
permit,
year.
so a year.
Well,
Right.
Right,
I don't know what the permit is, but the sign
No, I
is.
think
yeah.
it's 2 years on the permit.
Yeah, but the sign is a year.
The sign is every year, it's
Yeah.
gotta be re-approved. But yeah, if there's an active building permit, we've always allowed those signs to be.
So Ray, can I ask you to get this discussion onto a planning board agenda in the future? You've heard some of these subtleties in words in here, and there, I can understand there may be some confusion.
Yeah, we'll review the sign.
Yeah, right.
We did a couple of years ago to request it, of the selectmen. That's
Right.
that's
And
what
I
we did
just,
at somebody's change.
I'm just not gonna comment on the merits of what you're proposing. Because if I do, then I have to recuse myself from the planning board discussion when it gets there,
Right.
so,
I think we'd like to hear the comments,
yeah.
what you submit proposed changes. Give us some specifics.
Well, I heard two issues. One I heard was, what happens if I've got, I've built like 4 units and I've
Yeah.
sold 3, but I still have 1.
Right.
I think that oughta, why did we pick the first?
Yeah, it makes,
who knows?
it makes no sense, and this,
I don't know where it came, but I think you ought to debate it, And,
I just think these regulations are, they're just not right. We have to work to help our developers develop this, do the developments. This is, it's out of,
Most of these regulations have been in there for for a long
For a
time.
long
Yeah.
time.
All right, and I agree. And Mark, I'm going to ask if you on the Newtown website would take a look if we can create in the future a link to anyone who is a real estate or a developer that would like to have a reference to their website. You know, they can go to this realty company, you can go to that realty company. Then we'd all have to get them all to agree that they think this is a good idea. But let's find out if it's even technically feasible, because I can understand some people maybe don't want that to happen.
Well, you could
you know,
probably
I-
get
you know.
a quick link to Niren, which would list all the properties for sale in
Right.
Waterville Valley and all the realtors that
So,
represent.
but I think that's a good suggestion, and
Okay.
we're certainly not opposed to
Yeah.
marketing. I mean, believe me, yeah.
Dave would like to know who has the Georgia plates today.
Is it
Georgia.
Florida. Silver RAV4.
John Kelly,
Oh, boy. All right.
calm down.
You're wanted.
That's the culprit.
Is he in the list of dangerous criminals, or is he just parked illegally?
Just it's right in front of the exit for the trash folks.
Oh, no, not in front of the trash can. No.
Don't move it.
If you could, please. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Today?
Okay. This is relative to,
Sorry for the interruption.
okay. I'm going to back up. Margaret and she corrected me that I proposed, she seconded denying your request, but we didn't vote. So all in favor. Aye. So now you're officially on the record. Go to the ZBA. All right. Anything else on this subject? Otherwise, we'll move on.
Can we just handle the other sign
Sure.
request while we're here? Because you've got a
Yep.
similar vote that I think you're gonna need to take.
You've got a sign request. You want to move
We've
your
got a
sign back,
We
right?
want to move our sign back. We've signed a lease with, re-signed a lease with Village Condominiums. And we just want to move the sign back where it originally was.
Right.
So you have a sign which was there, moved over to Fox.
Right.
They want to move back. However, in the interim, the town adopted the off-premise business signs, which are now prohibited by the change in the zoning ordinance that was done in 2013. So it says now that local businesses not within a business complex may list their business name on a shared directional sign, but they can't have a single business sign that is not on the property where the business is located. They don't have to own the property, but it has to be the property where the business is located. They're asking to put the sign back across the street on town property. It's in the town right of way.
If
by
they
the
put
flower
if they put the sign on the village
bed. On
side,
the village side, then it would be where the business is located and.
could you live with putting the sign on the village side?
I don't think it's possible, the way,
The slope of the land is.
yeah. And the vegetation over there,
Hmm.
and the sidewalk over there. There's just not enough room.
Well,
I can no longer remember where the sign used to be.
It was in the flower bed, right across from the
Right.
entrance into
Into
village.
village.
And at that time, it was a conforming sign.
That's right, and it was.
We
a
actually
conforming
moved
sign.
it to a non-conforming status, but
No,
we
They moved it prior to the change in the
Right.
zoning ordinance. So
Okay.
at the time it went over to Silver Fox, it was also conforming. Now it's a non-conforming grandfathered sign.
So is the grandfathering belong to the business, or does the grandfathering belong
That's
to the
up
sign?
to you. That's up to you.
Oh, Jesus.
So
We
they,
don't plan on ever moving it again.
Somehow I don't
Circumstances,
necessarily believe that,
famous
but
last words.
Right,
So.
you're hoping you don't have to move again.
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to you.
So it's interpretation of the regulations?
Well, I think that we ought to, I'd like to make a motion to move the acknowledged non-conforming sign
Right.
from its current location to its former location.
Right. And I'm gonna second that. All those in favor? Mike,
I'm opposed.
you're opposed?
But I can't vote because there's a conflict there. But it's even before I was involved in the field I'm in now, I've been a staunch opponent of having signs on 49 that I think once we establish one sign on 49, we can't tell anybody else in this town they can't have a sign on 49. So if Blue Moon wanted a sign pointing arrows there, or the beating people came back and wanted a sign on 49, we couldn't tell them no if we have set a precedent. So that's my issue with it, and it wouldn't matter who sign it was out there. Done?
Actually, under the current ordinance, we could turn those things down. That is why I was very careful in my motion to acknowledge that this was a grandfathered, non-conforming
But I believe
sign.
grandfathered relates to a place, not grandfathering
Well,
isn't portable.
Yeah, that's the question. Is what the question is? What does grandfathering in here imply? I mean, if the, it's the same thing. Suppose the sign rotted. Does grandfathering prohibit you from replacing a rotted sign?
As long as you use the same.
I don't know.
Second mention.
It is
Yeah.
defined in your
Oh, okay.
ordinance.
We actually defined that.
Yes.
Mm.
Ray, what page are you looking?
I don't know, I can't,
There is a
reading it
sign.
and I can't
There-
find it.
Oh, you can't find it?
There is,
I can't find the words, but it says that once if you're gonna change a sign, that you have to meet
Yes.
the new regulations.
yeah, hold on just a
Yeah.
second.
I've got to go back and these are lengthy. These segments of the regulations.
Non-conforming uses,
Can I ask a question?
I would feel
When are you guys
that we
moving?
should take the time to read these things.
Now.
Oh, okay. The idea would be I would feel more comfortable
it's a regular
if
page 58.
we knew there was absolutely no way to put a sign on the village side of the road,
Two that I read.
as opposed to just speculative that there's no way to put a sign
So,
on the village side of the road. I don't know the answer to that.
non-conforming uses are defined on page 58. Any non-conforming use, building, or sign may continue in its present use and form, except that any non-conforming use, building, or sign may not undergo change in any of the following ways. Sign alteration, altered in any way whatsoever, including renovation of an existing sign. Change to another non-conforming use, reestablish after use has been abandoned for a year for a sign. Increase restoration or a ruined building in calamity. So the location is not specified.
I
as
am going to table
non-conforming.
this discussion. I need to go back and really read these regulations. I've got to read again what grandfathering really means. I think it's premature to vote,
Okay.
and I'm going to ask Margaret if she'd be willing to rescind her motion.
I will rescind my motion.
All right, we need to read this stuff
Yep.
more carefully before we can make a judgment as to whether
So
we're
it's
doing the
on
right
page
thing.
58.
Yeah, but these are. I remember they're lengthy. And
Yeah, they are.
We ought
It's
to take a
where-
look at it.
That's where it begins.
As is usual, we write something. I remember writing these. Why they never mention place just makes it, They said you can't change the sign, but the place of the sign, I don't know now. I have to read grandfathering, what grandfathering means. Maybe we need a town attorney to
Okay.
And you might,
give us an
while we're
opinion.
looking at this, you might want to look and see if
Yeah,
there's
can
a
you
way
get the
to
sign on
get
the
it
other side, which
get it
would
on
make
the
it,
other side.
make it awfully a lot simpler.
Mark,
Mhm.
existing use and non-conforming, page 41, 35, 11, 31.
Okay. 41.
Same thoughts, kind of repeat.
Right. Yeah. There
Right.
are paragraphs that you'll need to read.
Okay. So we'll table this and we'll vote on it at the next meeting,
Which would be when?
July 9th.
July 9th.
Do you want to take a, reconsider this, and can we vote on it by email or not? And maybe speed up an answer for you.
Well, I mean, it would seem to me the answer is either yes or no, or go to the ZBA, or the three. If it is no, they have an
Well,
option to go to the ZBA. I mean, if the answer is no, they got to take the sign down. They can do that if they want to.
I think Ray's right. On page 41, it does say that a sign may not be moved or replaced unless it is made to comply with the provisions of these regulations. So, I mean, I think that's pretty clear that you can't move it to the non-conforming, right? I mean,
But that was gonna add another level of complexity to this. Because right beyond that sign is the Gordon Research, and that's an off-premise sign.
Well, that's a temporary.
So it's there every year. I said I'm adding another level of complexity
Yeah,
to
but
this.
but it is a temporary.
But hopefully
sign.
it's grandfathered.
I mean,
I
if
think they're
Mike's-
putting it back.
If Mike's only concern is other signs in the future not being directional signs to other businesses, which are obviously addressed with the current zoning ordinance, can I ask the board to make an exception to this one sign that was originally designed and built for that specific location? And we're just asking to move it back to where it originally was.
You can, I can ask it, but I'm not, my problem is I'm not ready to vote until I take the half hour to read these regulations. And I can't do that now. That's the dilemma.
And Mike can't vote because he has to recuse himself from the discussion.
So,
Bill, I think the problem that Chip faces is he expects to be in his new location by the 1st, and you put him at a real business disadvantage if he can't identify his business location.
maybe we can read the regulations, and maybe we can look at having a special meeting prior to the 1st.
Wait a minute, I might have a solution that I can't vote on. Can we allow them to put it up temporarily until we vote on it?
Yeah, but
Would that work?
to grant them the privilege to move the sign for a month. And then.
Can you put up a true temporary sign in the meantime?
What is our regular, what do we allow on temporary signs, Mark?
Well, we're allowing Gordon Research a temporary
Yeah,
sign.
right.
So
Yeah.
what I'm trying to get around,
How long can a sign be temporary?
Till May
No, I
31st,
wish.
2014.
yeah. All it says about temporary signs is every temporary sign requires a permit similar to any other sign. Let's see if it's defined. Sign animated, sign temporary. Any sign, banner, pennant, variance, or advertising display constructed of cloth, canvas, light fabric, cardboard, wallboard, or other like materials with or without frames intended to be displayed for a short period of time only. That's a temporary sign.
Generally, I think in the past, we've kind of agreed that more than a year is not temporary. Anything less than a year falls in the realm of it might be temporary.
That's been your.
So yes, you could apply for a temporary sign permit, and I guess that might give you 6 months to 9 months. But if we vote no, and the ZBA, then you appealed it and they voted no, you'd have to remove it. Would you like to apply for a temporary sign permit?
I suppose we don't have a choice.
Well, I'd say we can wait for you to review and find out what your response is to this current situation.
Okay.
In which case, if you deny it, we can then ask for an exception, couldn't we?
You can go to the
It's a
ZBA.
variance, yeah.
Yes.
You'd ask for a variance from the
You have to
zoning.
ask for a
Right.
variance from the zoning from the
First ask
ZBA.
you for an exception?
No, once we deny, you can't go to the ZBA unless we deny it. If we deny it, you have absolutely have a right to go to the ZBA to get an exception.
Okay.
But the first step would be we have to deny it. They can't go
That's
without our
correct.
denial, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
There has to be a decision by the board to appeal.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll leave this, we'll take a look to see if we can hold a special meeting. And try to get this resolved as quickly as we can.
We appreciate anything you could do.
Okay? Anything else on signs? Margaret, did you have a sign?
It's an open house.
It's an open house sign.
Is it temporary?
Yes. It will only be up during the hours that I am holding an open house, and I will take it down promptly
Right,
upon
and you have been deemed to be, there will be something representing a sales
I am
representative
a sales
present.
agent, yes.
Yeah, for this property.
Yes,
Will be present at the thing.
yes. At all times.
So Margaret's got to recuse herself. Mike, are you willing to vote on this one? Or otherwise we can't vote. I don't know what we do.
In this case, I mean, just to keep it clean,
Yeah.
I would ask the board to authorize, oh geez, don't authorize me.
Yeah.
I work for her.
Oh, you mean some special people?
Well, no, you are allowed by the ordinance to grant authority to approve signed permit applications to the town manager or another
Right.
agent.
We
You can, by the zoning ordinance. So.
I'm
but I would-
gonna duck this right away.
No,
I am
but-
gonna suggest
Yeah,
that we
I'm
give him the right to
yeah.
make a decision.
But I would ask that the board not do that. I work for her.
Well, too bad.
That's-
You can
that's
ask, but that doesn't mean you're gonna get it.
Okay.
Well, you want us
I'm
to give it to Chris?
No, it's fine. It's fine. There's
I'm
no
gonna
good-
make a
there's no
motion
good-
to give Mark the authority to make a decision relative to Mark.
I do the other open house
Second.
signs.
All those in favor?
I
Okay.
can't vote either, can I?
No, no, you can't vote on your own thing, I don't think. All right, anything else on signs? All right, want to back up here?
Done.
Minutes, approval of the minutes of the previous meeting.
Could we
And
just
there
do
were
the-
a
Can
few
we just-
changes
Could we do
that I
the
had.
health network
health
thing
network.
real
Yeah, I gotta
quick
step
here?
back for a
Donna
minute.
Quinn needs to.
Oh, I'm
She's been
sorry,
very
Donna.
patient.
She's
I
another
didn't
meeting to
realize
go
that.
to as well.
What do you want to take, the flexible benefit?
No, this is the update on the health network, 8A.
Oh, I
On the
see it.
agenda.
Okay, yes, Donna, it's all yours.
Sorry.
That's okay.
You got a
I don't have a
meeting
sign. I don't have
That's
or
good.
anything else, so this should be pretty painless. I have an opportunity to come to
Donna, you
each
came to
year.
see us before,
I
right?
do. I come
Yeah.
every year.
Every year, right, okay.
Right. But you had quite a crowd this time, so it was,
Yeah,
I was out in the fray there. So basically, just to let you know what the Public Health Network is up to and what tasks we have before us and any questions that you might have and any trainings or whatnot that you might need or have an interest in. So since I saw you last, the Public Health Network that we have, which is the Central New Hampshire Public Health Network, it grew again. So now it has 18 communities, 17 technically, but we have 18 on paper, but one of them is not incorporated and it only has 3 people and they're actually forest rangers. But they are in there. So we do have the additional communities of Alexandria, Bristol, Bridgewater, Hebron, and Groton.
mm-hmm,
So that did increase our population, which then meant we needed to make changes in all of the plans that we had because the population we planned for has now grown. Not tremendously, but it was covering just under 25,000 and now it's just about 30. So it's still enough to make a change. So we just about finished rewriting the entire set of plans. Those include anything that you would provide, some vaccines or some mass dispensing of prophylactic medications. during an anthrax event or some smallpox, something like that. And we use those same plans during H1N1. So we've revised those because they didn't meet the needs of the population anymore when we changed the numbers. So we went ahead and revised that, and the newfound communities had their own pod site, so we actually incorporated that and made up a backup one. So we still have Linwood, Plymouth State, and then now we have the Newfound High School. So we have 3 on paper. And we've used some of those sites to go ahead and test things. So we did 2 Tdap clinics, the tetanus, diphtheria, pertussis vaccine. We offered those last summer, really. So it was August and September. We offered those, and we did a total of 65 free vaccines among 2 different dates and 2 locations. So that was a nice opportunity for us to get out there and try. We used that Linwood site. We've never used it, so we used it for that purpose. We also did a large test of our PSU pod, which you need to count. The CDC requires that you have an hourly throughput, how many people need to go through in an hour to reach that end number, that goal at the end of 48 hours. So that number is just over 500. So we did a test there on campus, and we were able to vaccinate. We only had 300 people sign up, but we had 300 people through in an hour, and we're able to test the rate. So now we know how fast we can probably put folks through that, which is really important data, because there's a lot of online tools you can use to calculate it, but they're online tools, they're not people, and people wouldn't necessarily go that fast. So now we have good data. We've also worked with the nursing program there, so those student nurses actually are a great resource, and they did the vaccinating with their preceptors. So our plans for this next fiscal year, which starts July 1 for us, is to test the newfound site that I mentioned, because when we revised that, we hadn't tested it, and we had to make a whole new plan. Originally, that site served about 10,000 people, serve over 20,000 people, 22,000. So that's a 12,000 number increase, and so we had to rework the whole thing. So we're actually going to do a setup of it come this summer, and then in the fall, when we offer seasonal flu clinics like we do here in Waterville, we'll actually use that site to bring the kids through and actually test the throughput with the seasonal flu vaccine, which has never been done before, but we're going to try it and see what happens. So we've also been doing a bunch of other plans, revising those, including an acute care center, which is also, we tested in the end of May. And that would really be at the request of Spear if a lot of other things had happened that would cause the hospital to have reached surge capacity. And not just them, but all the hospitals in the state. And essentially it's like a site where they could send their lower acuity patients to us and then take on any patients who are presenting with a particular symptom. So
this would be a case, though, with illness more than as a response to an emergency.
Yeah, you might find it in a mass casualty event. I mean, it's a possibility, particularly if there was if the event involves some sort of biologic material or whatnot, where you might find a large number of people presented, or something was released into the environment and that caused continual amounts of people to become ill over time. So it could happen that way, but you're more likely you're talking about, a flu virus or something that has really taken on and overtaken.
It's like the Spanish flu epidemic all over again.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
And on that note, I just this afternoon did a conference call on the MERS-CoV, the latest and greatest thing that they're watching. Well, there's a couple of them now, as we know. But they've actually considered that they'll start to take it back a notch, and the CDC is downgrading the severity of it, just because they're not seeing a lot of spread. Not that it's not, the mortality rate is quite high for people who might wind up becoming afflicted with it, but they're not seeing a lot of spread. So we know that that's probably something that, while we'll keep an eye on it, we won't have to do much. So the plans are really to get ready for the flu clinics that'll come, the seasonal flu clinics that will come out in the fall. And I have not confirmed that your school's on board, but they have been every year. And because they're such a small school, they have such a great advantage, because they get like a 90% when we do the numbers. They're like 90%. They like have the best rate. But when you have a little number, that's what you can do. So, and they do most of the kids there. They're fantastic. So we hope to be back there again this year. And then we also hope to offer some trainings this year. So we're going to propose some options if there's communities that need something. One thing that has come up quite regularly is continuity of operations. People would like some information all in your emergency operations plan, but most people in their plan have something that says the continuity of operations piece says see something else, or or sometimes it says like a list of people to call, and it looks more like sometimes, but that we might pursue. But if there's other things that you are interested in, we'd be happy to take a look and see if we could bring something. You know, we have the opportunity to work with outside resources and bring something that you might not typically find and bring it right to you, or bring it right closer than it would likely be. And around here we know that closest relative, so.
Are there any health-related issues or things you can think of? Chris, is there any?
No, I'm very aware of the network and the pods and everything, and I don't go to the meetings, which I probably should attend occasionally. But I do know who to call if we have questions or if we have any specific incidents that we know about or that come up.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's a great resource.
And the meetings are quarterly now, so that's a little better.
Okay. I do get your emails and I read them.
Yeah, it is hard to get to everything. I know
Right.
the feeling. So I'm never offended when people can't make it. So we just try to be a resource to the extent that we can, and we expect to get some information from the state this year on shelter guidance and whatnot. And as we do, we'll share it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And I
right.
hope the rest of your meeting.
Yeah, move right along here. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go back and take a look at the minutes of the meeting of June 4th. And I've got a number of changes that I've noticed. Start with, well, maybe we ought to do this. First page, page 1.
Yep.
You have any on page 1?
I haven't gone through that closely.
All right. Under 4, section 4, financial update. I think that should read unexpectedly overspent. And I think the last half of the last sentence after the and should be struck. I just say the rec department continues to have a lot of activity for non-revenue producing adult programs. Because the last one doesn't make it has no impact on anything to do with revenues coming from any other place, so I don't think it's relevant. Margaret, do you have anything else on page 1?
That bottom statement, recreation department starts June 23rd to August 22nd. I just thought it was unclear.
It was summer camp.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Department summer camps.
and we'll undo that and just,
Yep.
And then public safety didn't have anything there, so you might just want to take it out.
delete it.
All right. Page 2. Any change to page 2? I was generally okay with page 2.
Under the discussion of transportation system, I think things are just a little bit out of order. The Snowy Owl pays the mountain directly. That's probably a parentheses that goes after 25% paid by the lodges. It's kind of out of sequence where
Right.
it is.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay, good, thank you.
Anything else on page 2? Page 3. I had several issues. The statement there may be an issue with an endangered species. Should we be mentioning the white-nosed bat?
No.
Let's strike the bat. Just say that there may be an issue with an endangered species.
Where's, oh, okay.
That's in the
end
first
of
paragraph.
Okay. Just say there may be an issue with an endangered species?
Right, and
Period.
don't reference it.
Perfect.
The board, the second paragraph, board asked if there's anything the county can do to help the mountain. It wasn't ease the process. I mean, we asked them, is there anything we can do to help you, right? I don't like the last sentence too in the second paragraph, and here's what I had. The board stated it was the perception of some residents the mountain was not being maintained.
Do you
Is,
even need to have?
No.
well, he's sensitive to it. If we're gonna put anything in, that's what I'd put in. But I have no problem with striking the whole thing. And those are the only, you have anything else on page 3, Margaret?
No, I definitely would just, you know,
Strike that?
strike
Strike
Yeah.
that
that,
sentence.
those last 2 sentences.
Right.
And then on the next one, you know, it
4.
was actually my suggestion that
Right.
I didn't say good news, I said that he communicate more regularly.
Some news.
Yeah, some news about the resort.
Right. Page 4. Any changes? I had no change to 4. And Margaret, anything else? Page 5. They spelled my name. But that's a minor issue. Other than that, I had nothing on 5.
Yeah, I think I'm okay.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Financial update. Where's Mark? Well, we'll go
No
to
departments.
financial.
No departments are
He looks like an
Okay.
apartment.
unexpectedly
Oh.
unexpectedly overspent.
Oh.
Where everything is tracking very well on the departmental budgets. We will be, let's see, we're just finishing up June, so July we'll be sending out our second quarter billing for water and sewer, so those numbers will come up.
And the tax bills are due
Um,
July 1st.
Tax bills are due July 1st. So collections are going along pretty well. Last time I looked, which was late last week, we're about 70%. So we're
Ahead.
doing pretty well.
Good.
Any numbers that jumped out at you or that you had any questions on?
No, the truth is I did not review them in detail, and I will
Okay.
go back
I
and
mean,
I
do
just
that.
looked at the expenses and
Yeah.
how far through the year we were and said, well,
I
we're
think we're
within.
doing
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Department head updates.
I'll let Jim.
Jim,
Talk
just
to you.
I mentioned to Mark, just so you know, tell Andrews to move that truck. Nobody can park for any of the meetings here. I don't care. You can put it up and by the sewage treatment plant. It's fine or something.
Big suck bias.
Right. It's all right. It's just that now the poor guy from Florida got a ticket or something.
Yeah.
As well he should.
Anything else?
Did you check the gazebo?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Yes,
The
we
zebra looks
did.
great.
It's great.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it. Looks really nice.
Good.
He put even the curlicues back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
It's all composite material.
Wow,
So
yeah.
it should last next to forever.
Right.
The projects are going along well. We had pre-construction meetings for the interior meter installations today.
Right.
And then the water main out to the new well. Those projects are getting started.
Start date is July 7th.
July 7th for
On the well.
water well and the water main. They're
And
gonna
the main to it, the well and the pump house should
Separate.
be bid
within
somewhere
the
around.
next 2 weeks.
Okay.
They are gonna start down by Well House 2, West Branch Road end,
Okay.
and work into the National Forest.
Mm-hmm.
So the first piece, the ski area was here. Keith was here from the ski area, so they know. So we'll have minimal impact on Snow's Mountain Lift and mountain bike trails. So,
Snow's Mountain Lift.
well, they go up Snow's Mountain on the bikes and then they come down around the road.
Oh,
The bike
this is
trail.
getting from the new pump house up.
No, our project, they usually use the Greeley Pond Trail and the connector to come back into town. That's the way they usually send it.
Oh, they go out the back
yeah.
way. Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
realize that.
Yeah.
Okay,
So we're now gonna be diverting them down to West Branch Road.
okay, that's fine. All right.
And they'll come through River
And Mark,
Road.
would you,
Yeah.
what's been the resolution of the contaminated soil out here on the site? Get us
we-
up to date on that.
We have about 350 cubic yards of contaminated soil right now. Our engineer, Mark Henderson, has gone back, and that is much more than DES was anticipating that we would run into. DES right now is trying to decide whether or not they're just gonna leave the rest of the contaminated soil where it is, so that we would just finish the installation of our utilities and all that, backfill it with clean material, and then just leave it. So they are considering not doing their part of the project to remove the soils. Then they will get rid of what we have already taken out of the ground, and they will dispose of it under the OT fund.
And are they gonna give you a response that's
We-
timely, consistent with what Andrews needs to finish what
By
they're
the end
doing?
of this week, we'll have that decision, and I'll email you as soon as we have it.
Okay. All
But
right.
that's where we are right now. As far as water is concerned, the water has been sufficient. We've been able to discharge everything onto the ground that we've pumped out so far.
Okay.
We ran into some dirty water yesterday, but we were able to aerate it and get it down to the proper level.
What has been the resolution to the problem with contamination in Village?
It's taken care of.
It's taken care of.
The meter pit was installed.
So it's all done?
It's done.
It's all done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Uh,
Anything else?
No, so the projects are moving along.
Are there any other questions you have
No.
relative to any other departments, Margaret? No?
Public safety, Chris had to leave, but he wanted me to let you know that police training is gonna be conducted at the base lodge tomorrow with the Central New Hampshire Special Operations Unit, from 8 AM to 11 AM.
Are they gonna run around in all
They
that
are.
gear and stuff?
Yeah.
Wow.
Around
Humvee's
the
out.
base. But, yeah,
Yeah.
Humvees and the
Wow.
armored car vehicle thing that they have for the SOUs.
Oh, is there a special armored vehicle?
They use an old armored car, an old
Tell
Brinks
Chris to
armored
take a
car.
picture.
Yeah.
I think we ought to have the picture of
Okay.
Waterville being invaded.
We will.
All right. It'd be fun to put it into the weekly.
Yeah, and rec department, they're doing their training
This
for
week.
the
Doing
summer
the training
camp
now?
stuff. Yeah,
Okay.
this week. And start the camps. Monday.
Calendar review.
Next meeting is the 9th.
The 9th. Okay. Margaret, if you and I had to hold a special meeting,
Mhm.
is it July 9th? That's a ways away, right?
It's 3 weeks.
We are
3
sitting
weeks.
here on the 18th, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could hold one Friday if you posted it tomorrow.
I can't. My problem is I'm gone from Friday on. I'm gone actually from tomorrow on. I won't be back until next Wednesday. If we did it next Wednesday afternoon, would that be possible for
Can
you?
we do Thursday?
Thursday would be fine.
Okay.
So I'm not sure tentatively.
Yeah, and I'll have Chris or Sharon.
June 26th?
whoever. I won't be here next week. I'll be at scout camp, but you guys can have the
Right,
meeting.
we
I will
just
get the
need to
decision.
review those regulations and make a decision whether we're
Yep.
going to accept or deny the request.
For a temporary sign.
Well, they haven't asked for a
No.
temporary sign.
They have not.
Where the question is, can they move the regular,
Well,
the sign they
I'd
have?
also like to just correct something that I said, and I did tell the Ropers before they left.
Right,
I think, I'm gonna check with town council, but if someone reads the zoning ordinance and and something is stated in the zoning ordinance, I believe that there might be the possibility that they can apply for a variance for relief from what the ordinance says, if the person determines, because I said to you that you needed to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
So if I found out from town council that you didn't have to actually take a vote, but that they could apply for a
Directly to the
variance directly to
ZBA
the
without our
ZBA,
taking a vote?
because the ZBA
the ZBA
regs-
has more latitude to, you see, one of the things the ZBA can do, is my understanding would, if they find that it would have an adverse financial material impact on their business,
right.
they could make a decision to grant them an exception. I don't believe we have the authority to do that.
No, you
we?
do not.
Right.
But you can apply to the
ZBA
to the
directly.
ZBA
Yeah,
directly.
answer that question. If
I'll
it
get
is,
the
I think
answer.
my reaction is they ought to go to the ZBA directly and ask for.
Okay, but I don't know that you have to actually vote to deny a request
Right.
from them.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Let us know. Okay.
Yeah.
And then otherwise we'll try to hold a meeting on the 26th to try to move this as quickly
Okay.
as we can. All right. Otherwise, the next meeting is on the 9th, right?
Yeah.
And generally, I know I'm around, other than I'm out at the end of this week.
We had left it up in the air last time. Are we gonna hold a second meeting in July, or are you gonna wait to see what happens on July 9th?
Let's wait till July.
Let's
9th.
wait till July 9th.
All right.
Okay?
I'm gonna make a quick trip down to New York City over the weekend and probably through Wednesday, so I will be gone during that time.
Mike, you're in
Okay.
charge. I'm not here either. You're the only one here.
Good.
Let's hope it doesn't have anything to do with real estate.
Well, you can't make a decision by yourself anyway, so you can put off anything.
My wife seems to say that as well.
No, that was not a personal thing.
All right. Let's move on to new business. Right? So, annual review of recycling and solid waste disposal.
We want to
fee
get Bill out of
schedule.
here. He looks so lonely sitting back there.
Yeah. We've
Oh,
got
is he
lot
here
line-
for some- what's he
lot
here
for? Lot line
The lot
adjustment.
line adjustment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Bill, I do apologize. Yeah, you want to talk about the lot line adjustment?
Sure. Does not require any signage.
That's good.
Good.
By changing this, we're not giving you then the ability to erect a sign without our knowledge or anything, right?
This is, the Waterville Company owns 2 acres of land here. This is the wastewater treatment plant. Here's the old gas station. This is the property up here. And this is the road that comes in, your recycling stuff is here. And this road goes down to the lower treatment plant area.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody understand where we are?
Right.
This is there's some things here. This piece of land runs across this road and down here. There's no written right-of-way for the town to go down here, nor is there a written right-of-way for me to go down here to access the property over here. And I've also got someone who's interested in this parcel of land. I don't know if anything's going to come of it or not. And my question is really whether the town has an interest in straightening out this situation with easements and adjusting the property line here.
Well, you haven't talked about this.
Well, if someone said, yeah, what do you want to do?
Right.
I think it would be great if this property could be developed immediately accessible to this road, so you didn't have to build more road here. And so I would propose the town
Acquire this piece.
Acquire
the
that
town
piece.
acquire this piece, the Waterville company acquire these little pieces here, and then this whole trail
Mm-hmm.
that's that I can't or wouldn't develop anyway for a whole bunch of reasons. I mean, we're committed to maintaining all of these
Mhm.
trails. It's bounded by some wetlands. I'd propose that the town take title to this, as they have other green belts in town. So I'd propose the town gets this, the town gets this, the company gets that, and the company gets that. But those are just my ideas. I don't know what you folks think.
Does it, how
And
does this
easements.
relate to changing the size of the parcel here?
I have no idea. It would become smaller.
Become smaller, would it, oh, okay. Yeah, it would be with that going, would it go under 2 acres?
Yes.
All right.
Is that a significant number for any reason?
Might be to you, not to us.
It's not subdividable into 2 lots.
Well, it's not subdividable into 4 lots if
Well,
the
4
intent
lots.
It's in the
was to-
village commercial.
It's in village
There's
commercial.
no minimum lot size there.
Yeah.
Well, if it was single-family homes, even there,
It's not appropriate for
Okay.
single-family
All
homes.
right,
I don't
fine.
think. I
Okay.
wouldn't propose that.
yeah, all right. Mark, help me. To do this, we need a town vote?
For the yellow pieces, no. To give to land.
You could get,
We
but you
can
can't
give,
get.
no, seriously, you've been
You get, but
given
can't
the
get.
authority to accept gifts of land and property.
Right, but this is
Okay.
not a gift, we're trading
Well, that's why I
something
say the green piece, you would have to get the town, you would have to. town-
Well, that's, isn't there a way we could agree to this as a reasonable land swap that
I
would
would,
not
I will
require
ask
town
town,
approval?
I will ask
Town
town council,
council.
and I think you may have the ability to do this without town meeting vote. Because you have been granted authority to accept property. And you have authority already under the statutes to dispose of property that is no longer necessary for the town, so.
This is the old transfer station,
Yeah,
so we've moved off of this.
yes, we have.
Okay.
You moved the transfer station.
We moved the transfer station off
You
of
moved the
his
construction
property.
operation down there, which is fine.
Well, we need to move off of that as well.
So.
The piece
Not
down
right now, you
here,
don't.
basically, is a river corridor, and we would have to, and one of
Well-
the nice things here is then there becomes an issue of, well, we're protecting the corridor.
We would,
don't-
right,
we own the
and I
corridor.
would recommend if you took that parcel, that you go to town meeting next year and classify it as green belt and change
Right,
the zoning.
zoning,
Yeah,
right.
and then it would match, because our other green belt ends right there behind the treatment plant. So this parcel is already green belt.
Yeah. Mike, what
Right
do you
here.
think?
See, so.
I think it cleans up the lot line and cleans up the properties. And once again, I can't vote
Why can't you vote?
because I work for WCI.
Yeah, but this is
Oh,
personal
oh,
pecuniary
Oh, okay.
benefit. I mean, if-
unless
you have a.
you're in favor of it.
Bonus,
I don't see any negative to it. The thing I see the issue is if we can clear up
Yeah,
this
clear
line
up that
here.
corner would be
Yeah.
helpful, and to give clarity back
Right.
to what they own on the other side
Yeah.
with those indented lines. Doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And
And you don't need the width. I mean, even if you needed Mark to expand this road width, you've got all this
Yeah, we
inside
can go
space anyway.
inside, sure.
So it's not an issue.
And ask the attorney what a joint right of way. I mean, it seems to me
Yeah,
that
we
both
need
the
to-
town and the Waterville
Right.
company should have access in that area here.
Right. Yeah, I asked town council if we would have the authority to agree to what appears to be a non-change in value land swap. You know, to clear up some lot lines.
It's a very strange lot line. It'd be interesting to know
Yeah.
how that happened. Not that it matters, but
Yeah.
it's very interesting.
Yeah. It should have been done when we put the treatment plant in. It should have been drawn that way.
I certainly have no problem. You know.
Okay.
You want this, man?
Yeah, we'll PDF it and send it down to the town council. All right?
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Annual review of recycling solid waste disposal fee schedule.
Well, every year you usually look at those. We did not do it last year.
Right.
Because we had changed to the fee for the year before that in 2012. So you didn't look at it in 2013. Then as I wrote you in the memo, we had a situation, and this is, I think, the third time, put that right in there because I looked it up, but it's the third time in the last couple of weeks that we've had people clean out a condo,
Right.
whether they're selling it or whatever, and they're putting all of that material into a dumpster,
Right.
which doesn't leave any room for anybody else to use the dumpster, and then we get complaints because we got full dumpsters. Property managers know that when people do that, it's not supposed to go in the dumpster. It's supposed to come here to our C&D can. Either the
Are there services that are I believe there are that are available that'll come and drop a dumpster for somebody who wants to enter out or a bag
Yeah,
or something? There
absolutely.
are commercial.
Absolutely.
All right.
And we allow those on a temporary
Basis.
Yep.
If somebody wants to, and that's what they
Managers
should
or the
do.
Property owners should
Right,
just
property owners
contact us
should
and-
contact, get somebody, drop a dumpster, throw their
Right.
stuff in it, and be
Right.
done with it. Right.
So, as I wrote in the memo, Jim and I recommend that we institute some sort of penalty for continued improper use of the dumpsters like this. That we communicate that to the associations and that as part of instituting that penalty, that you guys would look at the rest of the fees and see if we want to change anything. There is a process for a public hearing that we could do on July 9th, and then you
Well,
could adopt
I-
them or wait till the end of the year, however you want to handle it.
I'd like to hear more about possible changes to what we're doing with recycling. Period.
Mhm.
I'm still not at all satisfied that we've got a solution that's a workable long-term solution in terms of these bins are half full, it's costing us money to drive them around half full. We've got these people that have got dumpsters and aren't putting gates on and everything else. And I think before we change fees, we ought to talk about what do we want in general out of this whole thing, and is our fee structure then supporting this or not? I mean, it gets as basic. I mean, is it a right or a privilege to have a town dumpster out there on your property? I mean,
No, I agree. I'm fine with that.
so I'd like to. So I don't know. We probably need a fair amount of block of time to spend some time talking about that.
I would recommend that we, you either, if we have a meeting that has very little on the
Yeah.
agenda, which we haven't had lately, or
Maybe
you
we
just have
could
a
take that
special
meeting, that
and-
second meeting in July, and
Okay.
make that the only business item on it.
Recycling.
Okay.
That's something.
All right, and that gives
Otherwise,
us plenty of time to
yeah.
get stuff together. So second meeting in July.
July,
recycling.
and why don't we just focus that meeting on the recycling, and not just recycling and garbage
Solid
in general.
waste.
What are some of the issues? Where are we? Because I know that
Mhm.
you're not satisfied with where it's at, and I'm sure we are either.
What do we do to help out the guys that are getting these dumpsters in the meantime?
Yeah, I mean, right now our policy is when the dumpster's full, regardless of how it got full, we're emptying it and we're servicing it. And so we're ending up, we're not being penalized at Bethlehem because there's nothing,
Yeah,
it's
there's
not
nothing that can't be.
contaminated or anything.
They don't
but,
care. I mean,
but we're, basically I'm gonna, if the association calls and complains that dumpsters are full, and then we have a situation like this, we're just gonna tell them,
how often does this happen?
well, it's happened 3 times in the last couple of weeks.
But so far this year, you would have had how many of these?
Oh, 3 or 4.
Okay.
Yeah. But it seems, this spring, we have noticed that maybe the dumpster isn't full, but there's more of this type of material in the dumpsters. I mean, the guys can tell whether it's trash.
Or a clean
You
out.
know,
I was
or a
emptying
clean out.
trash the other day and somebody had put a lawn chair in the dumpster.
Yeah.
down
I
here.
mean,
Oh yeah, it's
just-
amazing the
yeah,
stuff I
There's
find when I'm.
stuff-
Yeah.
I mean, there was dishes and pots and
Yeah.
pans
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
seat cushions from the sofa and
Mhm.
thing, household furniture.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, there isn't that.
What do
And I'm
we,
not trying
what
to
do
make
we
an
do with,
excuse.
I understand, Mark, what do we do with, if somebody brings it down here,
Yeah.
what do we do? Haul it off to Bethlehem?
It goes to the C&D dumpster,
What
which
is the
is
C&D?
picked up, it's construction and
Construction.
demolition debris
Right.
dumpster. It goes in there, that's a 15 or a 20-yard dumpster, and we have that picked up by a roll-on, roll-off truck. So it's a transfer station that we have up by the lagoons.
And what you
And-
do
And the
is,
reason we
And we
can do
do
that is because bears don't jump in that?
Right. There's no food and stuff like that, so we can have an open dumpster, and it allows us to, we can pack it down with the backhoe, and we can get a lot more material in there than we can just packing it in our truck.
The problem with it is not many people know, I mean, I'm a resident here, so I figured out you can drive up there.
Right.
And you know, when is the gate open? When isn't it open?
Yeah.
I mean, can you
Yeah.
go there on a Saturday?
No.
Now
You can't.
we need to any change we make to recycling or any of this
Yeah.
involves a real education component.
Yeah, we need to tell people, if you got this kind of trash, what are your options? You
Right.
know, you need to go either a commercial source, or we'll take it, but you've
Here
gotta
is
put it
how.
in, you know, it's gotta be put up in the particular dumpster up
Yeah.
there, you know.
And, you know, for years, nobody's been used to doing this, because for years, Stone did it.
yes.
Their guys did it on an
Yeah.
everyday basis.
Yeah.
And so nobody had to deal with it, because you just made a phone call and
Right.
Rosie sent a guy over and with a
Mhm.
pickup truck, and that's how it happened. And everybody's
I
kind
think
of
Mike's right, we're gonna have to have a real education
It's
component in
huge.
terms of what can go
Right.
in the garbage, what can go in recycling, and what is considered to be, I mean, yeah, I'm assuming we're getting close to having televisions and stuff showing
yeah.
up in these dumpsters,
Oh, we
right?
do.
Yeah.
The guys,
Oh, yeah.
the guys actually go into the dumpsters and pull the TVs out before they dump them, because
Right.
those we are not allowed to put at Bethlehem.
Right.
So,
Well, hopefully with people down there, with our focus of the garage being there, we're going to have a lot. It's going to be not strictly supervised,
Right.
but there's going to
yeah,
be some
there'll more.
interaction
Yep.
where there is none now.
Right. I mean, my concern with that, Mike, is, yeah, 7:30 to 8 o'clock in the morning, there's gonna be somebody
Right.
down there, and a couple of times hit or miss during the day.
But we also might.
But,
Yeah.
but it's gonna be the presence, the building's gonna be there,
Exactly.
the trucks are
And
gonna be there.
People in and out.
Yeah,
And
there'll
if
be
people's
people
if
going in
the
and
garbage
out,
truck
but-
goes by and sees someone trying to move a piece in there, I can stop and go, hey, wait a minute.
Right,
I mean, the reality is you know, we are probably the most accessible town in the world when it comes to getting rid of your garbage, right?
Yeah.
Most town, I mean, an awful lot of towns, big towns like Massachusetts, it's Saturday morning from 9 to 12, the entire town, and there's a line for a half a mile getting into the transfer station.
In Weston, they're open 4 days a week, and they have people checking your dump permit sticker.
right.
And people checking as you're loading barrels out of your car where you're taking them and they're going to the right places.
Yeah, we.
See, if we
Hampton
did
Thornton had
that,
same
We don't
the
have enough
advantage
volume.
then is you could take that big construction thing
Yeah.
and bring it down.
Yeah.
Yes,
So that as people drove through, you know, you'd say, okay, that's gotta go in the construction, this has gotta go.
But then you'd have to lock it up at 5 o'clock at night.
that's right, you gotta
Well,
secure it.
obviously,
You gotta-
yeah,
The other,
that's
the
the
other
problem.
thing you could do, since, you know, this cleaning out of condos is not something that people do every day, you could set up sometimes like you do for paint and that kind of thing and say, okay,
But that's not
but
going to
you
work
know-
because the person buying the condo is planning to move on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
And they're not gonna plan their move around the day, they can use
Yeah, and see,
a
Margaret,
dumpster.
you know, it's surprising
Well,
because
that's, if they're moving on a Wednesday, they can come down this here and put the stuff
But they don't
here with
understand
the-
us what.
But they
know.
will,
Yeah,
but they
but
will.
what I
I'm
thi-
saying
Right.
that
Yeah.
you could supplement that for
Right.
those people that are coming up here and
Right.
filling up a dumpster on the weekend when nobody is
Right.
around. You could have a date every few months where, you know,
Right.
bring your
But
stuff.
what I think we might want to look at when we get the master recycling plan put together is changing our hours to make this the education component of having people here on the weekends for 6 months or so. So a whole cycle of people that are living here and renting here or being here will get used to being instructed on how to use the place.
The dilemma we always have is probably a third of the garbage
Yeah.
gets dumped on Sunday afternoon.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. Have someone on a Sunday afternoon and close the dump down on Tuesday.
Yeah, we could basically open it on Saturday and Sunday and close it down every other day of the week.
But yeah, you know, that might be part of the solution we're looking at. We've got to keep these ideas open.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. 2013 abatement requests.
Yeah, we have 2 abatements.
One from the telephone company.
CMP did not get back to me on either one, but the telephone company, we have the ongoing legal case that we're
Right.
part of, so I would deny that.
Let's take it right. I'll make a motion to deny the abatement request of, who is that?
New England
Russ?
Telephone.
New England Telephone?
Yeah.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now we've got,
Warren and
The Wheelocks.
Yeah.
They bought
The
the
Wheelocks.
Perone house.
and
next
what
to
are
the
they
library.
saying? They're not
They-
a house?
They disagreed. Mark changed some classifications
Right.
within the calculation on the property record card that the Wheelocks disagree with. They are asking for a $73,000 abatement because they want to go back to the original classifications that he had. And I provided you with a copy of the whole abatement, but their property right now, even if you adjust it to 100%, right, and remember we're at 92%,
Right.
92.5% right now, their 100% valuation is $688,880.
right.
They purchased the house, and I know it's not not that simple, but they purchased the house for $771,400.
Right. But the formula, do they have, is there merits to their argument that Mark changed the formula inappropriately?
No, well, Mark can adjust those quality numbers to get, he uses that to get to the bottom line number. So he's looking at property values,
Right.
at each property value,
Oh,
and he's saying, this is the fair market value that it should be.
okay.
In order to get there, he makes
Adjustment.
changes, because he can't change the square footage. It is
Right.
what it is.
So what he's
So-
saying is it's a better house or something.
There
Well,
was, I remember when I
there
was
were
reading it, there was
sales.
something about style where they were concerned
There
that
was a
there was
style
a
of
Cape
post
style,
and beam
Cape
instead
that is
of-
not post and beam construction, it's actually faux post and beam.
Right, but so if he changed it, as an example, if the assessor went back in now and changed it to a Cape design, he would probably adjust the quality ratings so that he could stay near that number
Right,
of
he had-
688. That's what he's looking at.
Yeah.
So he can change those
Right.
values. They're kind of subjective. I mean, and he's
Right.
trying to get it as close to the.
So what
fair
does
market
Mark
value as
say
he can.
about this? It's inappropriate?
Well, Mark had passed
Yeah,
away.
he's passed
Oh, that's
away.
right.
So
who
that's
is,
what I was
who's
saying
Mark's
is,
replacement now?
well, and no one has gotten back to me from the company, so I don't know who's gonna be replacing him. I imagine it's gonna be Mr. Comerford, but but I would recommend
Table
that
it.
you, well, if you table
Oh.
it, remember July 1st,
Right,
if you haven't decided, then it's automatically a denial.
okay.
So I would say deny it for right now, because if they appeal it to BTLA,
Right.
then we're gonna have to negotiate prior to going to BTLA anyway, because
Right.
BTLA is gonna require us to do that. So, in the interim, while we wait for a new assessor, let's, I would recommend that you deny it and we'll move forward. I mean, I would think if their purchase price was somewhere lower, significantly lower than what we
Right.
had it assessed for, then
There would be a
we
valid
could talk
point, yes.
about that. But we're still at 90%.
Well, I'm willing
Their
to follow
purchase,
your,
so.
your
All right,
recommendation.
do I hear a motion then to deny?
Margaret, you were gonna say something, did you?
Well, yeah, I guess, you know, in reading this, I just want to understand. The assessor arrived at did I understand correctly, at an overall value of the house? And then he did this factor to back into that value?
No, he is looking at all of the properties, similar
Right.
properties to this one.
Right.
He has an idea of a range that they should be valued at, that are fair market values.
Mm-hmm.
And he's making adjustments within these numbers, the quality, like he can classify it as good, fair, excellent, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He adjusts those to get the bottom line based on the square footage, right? Because it's a manual
Right.
calculation
Right.
of an amount per square foot times the square footage. So he is adjusting that quality to get that bottom line property value in total to fair market value. So yeah, he has a range, he has an idea of where he needs that
I think
property.
your statement was correct. He backs into the number.
He backs into
Yeah.
the number.
Right.
He comes up with an overall
Well,
value
right.
for this house,
Close.
and then
Yeah,
Yeah,
kind
he
of
gets
backs
it
into,
within-
he does
kinda
a
backs
reasonable
into it.
check and then backs into the number.
Right.
Right.
okay. Well, I think it makes sense to deny it, and then when we have an expert on board who can
Right.
sit and
Yeah.
we can talk to the Wheelocks and talk to the assessor, and yeah.
I just
think that
wanna
makes
notify the
sense.
Wheelocks that you're gonna deny it so that they can do their appeal
Right.
if they want to.
Yeah.
So there's a motion on the floor to deny it. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And I believe that gets us to the new business, right? Old business, Northway bond issue paperwork. We've got to sign something? Property development signs. We're going back to that one.
On the note, everything has to be, wait a second, hold on just a
Boy,
second.
does that look fancy.
Make sure all the dates are the same. So we're using today's date. What, did they?
They misspelled my
misspell the
name.
Damn it. I told
I-
her.
I don't know whether that.
No, it doesn't.
Do you want me to? They'll never. They can't read my signature. You don't want me to sign this?
No, you can. You can. So you're
And so I'm not
Mhm.
signing.
dating.
Who made you your pen, Bill?
You're gonna notarize
Who made my
this.
pen?
Yeah.
No, I think my wife put it in Sequoia National
Oh, okay.
Park.
I have a very similar pen a friend of mine
Oh.
made for me.
Yeah.
Without the bill on it.
I think it's a gift shop special.
Wait a minute.
From a tree they cut down.
You and I will do the dating. Wait a
Uh,
minute. We got. Oh, there's
One
more.
more to
There's
go.
a certificate. So page 1 gets dated. Last page gets signed. Now this one's correct.
Yeah. Well,
I knew I told her.
you know, if we're looking for a technicality, why we're not going to pay this money back, we got it, right?
No, unfortunately, like all good mortgage companies, there's an errors or omissions
pen.
agreement.
Yeah.
Can I use your special
Oh,
pen?
sure can.
Thank you, because all I have with me is a red pen.
All right.
That one, in no internet gambling.
Mm-hmm.
Certificate regarding internet gambling?
Internet gambling.
And we're
is
not gonna use
required
the money
now.
to gamble?
Not gonna use the money to gamble on the internet. No, it didn't say you weren't
But
gonna
we
use the
could
money
take
to
it to Las
gamble.
Vegas.
Right, take it to Las Vegas, but you gotta do it in person. So we'll notarize all that.
Yep.
Instead of raising taxes, we could open a casino here.
Oh, don't talk about casinos.
I thought you were going to go. There we go. Take what we got and see if we can double it.
Double it. Yeah, we could do that too. We could buy a lot of lottery tickets, right? Flexible benefits plan amendment.
Yes. You already voted to change our system so that the employees can maintain $500 year to
Right.
year.
Right.
But there is a form that you have to sign to ratify. I just need to find.
But we don't need to vote on this. We've already
No,
done it.
you've already voted. Sorry. Find a piece of paper here.
That was the full color version.
Mm.
$3.29 a piece.
I hate signs. There it is. 3 lines there.
I can sign this one.
Okay, well, we're signing that. Any correspondence, Mark?
No, we did get a notice today from the New Hampshire Municipal Association. It's that time of year that if you want any laws changed, that towns submit to the Municipal Association policy changes that they would like to see changed in state statute. If there's anything burning that you want to, you absolutely want to
Oh,
have
we did
changed.
talk about public shaming.
But there's, this is the opportunity, and then what they do is they get together in August, everybody from NHMA, every participant town, and they have a conference and they actually vote, and what policies are gonna be forwarded by the organization. So if there is anything, I do have, they've already had several potential policies put forward. I can email them to you. They just came in today, so I didn't get a chance to run them
Okay.
off. But
Any of them
that's-
of any particular?
A lot of, actually, there's 4 or 5 that relate to the right to know law and changes to the right to know law. Some of them are technology based, and clarifications and things like that. So there may be some you might be interested in.
The right to know law might be one of them. Are there any related to the principle of conduct of business always in the public sector versus when we can conduct it in private?
In private, yes, some of them talk about that.
I'd like to, if there's one area that continues sometimes to frustrate me is I think we'd be better off resolving some issues in private that we have to do in public.
Okay.
Like, for instance, the Sununu discussion, we
Right.
would never, choose to do that in a public forum other than we had no choice.
Right. Okay, but I'll forward that to you, look them over. The other thing was, one of them is records retention. Microfiche is, I guess, being phased out for
It
records
is.
retention.
Basically, nobody, I don't think people
nobody-
use microfiche
right,
anymore.
or microfilm or
They
any of
digitize
that.
it now,
They're
yeah.
everything's digital, but the state law is very
Specific.
specific that it's either paper or microfilm. And so they want to get that changed to
Yeah.
some sort of digital, because paper is just too unwieldy
Right.
for us. So there may be some things you want
Okay.
to participate in.
Board concerns and directives, action item list. You are now going to send that letter out to
Wow.
Wyman.
Wyman.
Yeah, and you were okay with Chris's, other than Chris
Yeah.
read it to himself.
Are there any other actions we've taken past in the mark like that, Mark, in the past that you need to
Well,
keep us informed about?
Do you want me to send a letter to Bob Wilds and Barry just telling them to take the signs down pending changes, or what do you? I mean, I don't know. It's kind of hard.
Well, we certainly should send it to Bob Wild. I'm hoping that he's smart enough to just go take a sign down, but maybe he's not. So I'd give him a couple of days. If the sign's not removed, I think we should send a letter to him. Now, Bobby Wild.
You mean Barry Fish?
I'm sorry. We should tell Barry get the sign down.
Unless he comes in with a building permit.
Well, if he
That
comes
gets
up with a
through.
building, it costs money to apply for a building permit.
Well, he's got to apply for the building permit, and then you've got to sign permit application.
Right. Bob Wild, I mean, if he's going to appeal it to the ZBA, do we give him some slack or not?
I would say if he's going to appeal it, that was the question I was going to make, is that I think a sign like that one where people are expecting a development, the sign coming down sends a bad message.
Oh, I know.
That's the concern I have, especially with all the other rumors and speculations of negative news around here.
So how about if we notify him that we're making the assumption that you intend to appeal this to the ZBA, and in the interim, we're not going to take any action on leaving the sign up. But we're on the assumption you're going to do that promptly.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Barry, I get the sign down.
Yeah.
And you get a perfect example. I mean, what's his name is saying, hey, look, I can't put a sign up on, I'm trying to sell a piece of property next to his, and I'm not allowed to have a sign.
Yeah.
And Barry is allowed to have a sign? It doesn't make any sense.
Okay. Okay.
But that'd be it? Anything for non-public?
No,
No?
I can't think of anything that we have going on.
Okay.
Hopefully steel will be going up next week.
Excellent.
Next door, so. Just if we can get by this contaminated soil issue, it's driving us crazy.
Right,
And costing us money.
I think there should be some repercussions for when we had the gas station down and the people did the examinations and all the certifications of that era.
I don't know, did we actually have somebody come out and do
Yeah,
due
that's
diligence?
all
Who was it,
yeah.
a lab?
Absolutely, yeah.
I think we should.
Well, but that's when they identified the contaminated soil.
Right,
and
but they were supposed to identify all of it.
Right.
Not just the stuff they found.
Well, no, I think part of it is we knew going into this that there was a chance that this was contaminated soil. But it turned out, what is it, deeper than we had thought? Or?
It's more extensive than we thought.
We thought. I find it amusing that the state is running out of money and is now saying, what the
Just
hell,
leave
just
it
leave
there.
it there buried.
They keep changing because if they had just told us that
That's
at the
right. You can
beginning-
always ignore your own regulations. That's one of your privileges, you know?
Yeah. So.
When it's convenient. They don't have any money.
Right.
Right? They can't, they can't stick us with the bill, right?
No.
Right. Good.
The soil that is piled up there under the plastic goes out of here under the yacht fund.
Okay.
We will not pay for that. Okay.
Okay, good.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 10 after 5.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nice sunny day out.